They say marriages die in silence. Mine died with a group text and a Pilates playlist. I'm Ethan Cole, 41 years old, civil engineer by trade, and apparently the last person in my own neighborhood to know my wife was screwing my best friend. The revelation came courtesy of a screenshot forwarded by my 16-year-old son Alex, who found it on his mom's unlocked phone while looking for his soccer schedule. "Dad," Alex said, sliding the phone across our kitchen table that Tuesday morning, "you need to see this." The group chat was titled Girls' Night Out and featured my wife Vanessa, her friend Tasha, and Priya from down the street. The conversation that destroyed my world went like this. Tasha: "How was your workout with Bryce yesterday?" Vanessa: "Let's just say we burned more calories in his office than on the treadmill. Poor Ethan thinks I'm getting in shape for him." Priya: "Girl, you're terrible, but honestly, Bryce is so much hotter than Ethan. All those muscles." Vanessa: "I know, right? Ethan's so vanilla. Bryce is like Rocky Road, sweet, chunky, and addictive." I stared at that phone screen for what felt like an hour, but was probably 30 seconds. My coffee grew cold. Alex watched me with those sharp eyes he inherited from his mother, waiting for my reaction. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. "Based on the chat history? About 6 months," Alex said quietly. "Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't know if I should tell you." 6 months. 6 months of working late, girls' nights, and new workout routines. 6 months of me being the neighborhood fool while my wife of 18 years played house with Bryce Hamilton, owner of Iron Core Gym, and the man who'd been my best friend since college. I handed the phone back to Alex. "Don't tell your mom you showed me this, not yet." "What are you going to do?" Good question. What does a man do when his entire life implodes over breakfast? I looked around our kitchen, the one Vanessa had insisted on renovating last year, with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. Everything looked the same, but nothing would ever be the same again. "I'm going to think," I said, "and then I'm going to act." That evening, Vanessa came home at her usual 7:30, all smiles and designer workout clothes. She kissed my cheek like she had every night for 18 years, and I let her, studying her face for signs of guilt. There were none. She was that good at lying, or I was that bad at seeing. "How was your day, honey?" she asked, pulling a salad from the refrigerator. "Productive," I said. "How was the gym?" "Oh, same old routine. Bryce is really pushing us hard in the new strength training class." I'll bet he is, I thought, but kept my expression neutral. "That's great, you're looking fantastic." She beamed at the compliment, and for a moment, I saw the woman I'd fallen in love with in college. Beautiful, confident, magnetic. Then I remembered the group chat, and that woman became a stranger wearing my wife's face. Over the next week, I did what I do best. I observed and planned. As a civil engineer, I'm trained to see structural problems before they become catastrophic failures. My marriage hadn't just failed. It had been systematically demolished by two people I trusted most. I started paying attention to details I'd ignored. Vanessa's phone, always face down now. Her sudden interest in lingerie that I never saw. The way she hummed in the shower, songs I didn't recognize. The receipts in her purse from restaurants I'd never been to. And Bryce. God, how had I missed it with Bryce? The signs were everywhere once I started looking. The way he'd gotten awkward around me at neighborhood barbecues. How he'd stopped inviting me to grab beers after work. The guilty expression when I'd mentioned Vanessa's new fitness routine. Friday night, I drove past Iron Core Gym at closing time. Vanessa's silver BMW was parked beside Bryce's black pickup truck in the otherwise empty lot. The gym lights were off, but I could see a soft glow from the office windows upstairs. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, engine off, watching those windows. Part of me wanted to storm up there and confront them. The bigger part, the engineer part, knew that would be a mistake. You don't demolish a building without first understanding its structure. When I got home, Vanessa was already there, fresh from the shower, wearing the silk robe I'd bought her for Christmas. "You're late," she said, not looking up from her phone. "Work ran long. Foundation issues on the Morrison project." She was texting someone, thumbs flying across the screen. "How was girls' night?" "What?" She looked up, momentarily confused. "Oh, we canceled. Tasha wasn't feeling well." Strike two, I thought. She wasn't even trying to keep her lies straight anymore. That weekend, I made my first move. Not against Vanessa or Bryce, not yet. First, I needed allies, and I knew exactly where to find them. Ray Kowalski worked with me at the engineering firm and had been divorced twice. He understood betrayal like a mechanic understands engines, intimately, and with professional expertise. Monday morning, I cornered him in the break room. Ray, hypothetically speaking, if a man discovered his wife was cheating, what would you recommend? Ray looked up from his coffee with the expression of a man who'd heard this question before. Hypothetically, document everything, get a good lawyer, take her for half. What if he wanted more than half? How much more are we talking about, Ethan? I met his eyes. Everything. Ray whistled low. That's not divorce court territory, my friend. That's war. Then teach me how to fight. He grinned. Now you're talking my language. Ray's first lesson in marital warfare was simple. Never let them know you know until you're ready to destroy them completely. For 2 weeks, I became a ghost in my own house. I smiled at Vanessa's lies, laughed at Bryce's jokes when we ran into each other at the hardware store, and played the role of oblivious husband while building my case. The evidence was almost embarrassingly easy to gather. Vanessa had grown careless, confident in my supposed ignorance. Her laptop password was still Alex's birthday. Her credit card statements told a story of afternoon hotels, expensive lingerie, and romantic dinners for two while I was at work. But the smoking gun came from an unexpected source. Mrs. Geller, our 70-year-old neighbor who treated gossip like an Olympic sport. Ethan, dear, she said, cornering me while I was getting the mail. I hope you don't mind me saying, but I think it's wonderful how supportive you are of Vanessa's new friendship. New friendship? With that nice young man from the gym. Bryce, isn't it? I see his truck in your driveway quite often when you're at work. It's so nice that Vanessa has someone to help her with her exercises. The way she said exercises told me everything I needed to know. Mrs. Geller knew exactly what was happening, and if she knew, the whole neighborhood knew. That night, I set up a security camera in our bedroom. Not for the footage, I wasn't that kind of masochist, but for the timestamps. I needed proof of when Vanessa was home and when she wasn't. The camera caught something better than I'd hoped. Wednesday afternoon, while I was supposedly at a client meeting, I came home early with a fake headache. Vanessa's car was in the driveway, and I could hear voices upstairs. I crept up the stairs like a burglar in my own house. The bedroom door was closed, but I could hear them clearly. We can't keep doing this, Bryce was saying. Ethan's getting suspicious. Ethan doesn't suspect anything, Vanessa replied. He's too wrapped up in his blueprints to notice what's right in front of him. Maybe we should tell him. End this charade. And give up everything I've built here? The house, the lifestyle, the security? I don't think so. So what? I'm just your afternoon entertainment? There was a pause, then Vanessa's voice, colder now. You're whatever I need you to be, Bryce. Don't get confused about your role here. I backed away from the door, my hands shaking with rage. It wasn't just the affair, it was the casual cruelty, the complete dismissal of 18 years of marriage, the way she talked about me like I was a convenient appliance. But Bryce's response stopped me cold. Well, maybe it's time to change the game entirely. What if you weren't married to Ethan anymore? What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we stop sneaking around, leave him, marry me. Vanessa laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. Marry you? Bryce, you own a gym. Ethan's an engineer with a pension and a paid-off house. Do the math. The silence that followed was deafening. Then I heard movement, clothes rustling, and I realized they were getting dressed. I made it downstairs and out to my car, just as Bryce's truck pulled out of the driveway. That evening, Vanessa was unusually affectionate. She made my favorite dinner, asked about my day, even suggested we watch a movie together. The performance was flawless, and it made me sick. You seem different tonight, I said as we sat on the couch. Different how? I don't know, guilty maybe? She turned to look at me sharply. Guilty about what? I don't know, Vanessa, you tell me. For a moment, her mask slipped. I saw something calculating in her eyes, a quick assessment of how much I might know. Then the smile returned. Don't be silly, I love you. 3 words that had once meant everything to me now sounded like nails on a chalkboard. The next morning, I called in sick to work and followed Vanessa. She drove to Iron Core Gym as expected, but instead of going inside, she met Bryce in the parking lot. They talked for several minutes, an intense conversation that ended with Bryce grabbing her arm roughly before she pulled away and drove off. Trouble in paradise, I thought. I followed Bryce instead of Vanessa. He drove to a coffee shop downtown where he met another woman, blonde, athletic, wearing scrubs. A nurse, maybe, or a doctor. They sat close together, holding hands across the table. Well, well, well. It seemed Bryce was playing games of his own. I took photos with my phone from across the street. The pictures were grainy, but clear enough to identify both of them. When I got home, a reverse image search and some social media stalking revealed the woman's identity. Monica Chen, registered nurse at St. Mary's Hospital, married to Dr. James Chen. The plot, as they say, had thickened. That night, I made my decision. It was time to stop gathering intelligence and start the war. Ray and I met at Murphy's Tavern, a dive bar downtown where the beer was cheap and the lighting was dim enough to hide the planning of domestic warfare. So, let me get this straight, Ray said, nursing his third beer. Your wife is cheating with your best friend, who's also cheating on his wife with a married nurse, and you want to burn it all down? That's the general idea. I like it. It's got style. He leaned forward. But you need to be smart about this. You can't just drop a bomb and hope for the best. This needs to be surgical. I'm listening. First rule of revenge. Make them destroy themselves. Don't be the bad guy. Be the guy who just happens to shine a light in the right places. Over the next hour, we crafted a plan that was both elegant and devastating. Phase 1 would target the weakest link in the chain, Bryce's marriage. Bryce Hamilton had been married to Monica Hamilton for 15 years. She was a sweet woman who taught third grade and believed the best in everyone, including her cheating husband. But even saints have their breaking points. I started with anonymous gifts. A bouquet of flowers delivered to Monica at school with a card that read, "Thanks for last night. Can't wait to see you again. Your secret admirer." The florist's receipt, which I made sure Monica would find in the delivery box, showed the flowers were ordered and paid for by Bryce. 2 days later, I sent Monica a bottle of expensive perfume with a note. "This scent reminds me of you. Wear it tonight." B. The genius of the plan was its simplicity. Bryce would deny everything, but Monica would start noticing things she'd ignored before. Late nights at the gym, secretive phone calls, the scent of unfamiliar perfume on his clothes. While Monica was beginning to question her marriage, I moved to phase 2, social pressure. I started small, planting seeds of doubt in casual conversations with neighbors and mutual friends. Not accusations, just observations. "Have you noticed Bryce seems distracted lately?" I mentioned to Tom Peterson while we were both mowing our lawns. "Vanessa's been working out a lot. I hope she's not overdoing it," I said to Sarah Williams at the grocery store. "I saw Monica Hamilton at the school carnival. She looked upset about something. I hope everything's okay with her and Bryce," I told Mrs. Geller, knowing the information would spread through the neighborhood faster than a wildfire. The beauty of small-town gossip is that it feeds on itself. One innocent comment becomes a rumor, which becomes accepted fact, which becomes scandal. By the end of the week, I was getting concerned phone calls from friends asking if everything was okay with my marriage. The irony was delicious. But the real masterstroke came when I, accidentally, ran into Monica at the coffee shop where I'd seen her meeting Bryce. "Monica, what a surprise," I said, genuinely pleased to see her looking confused and troubled. "How are you?" "Oh, hi, Ethan. I'm fine, just thinking." "About anything I can help with? You look worried." She hesitated then. "Can I ask you something? Has Vanessa mentioned anything about Bryce acting strange lately?" Perfect. She was already suspicious. Strange how? "I don't know, secretive, distant. And there have been these gifts." I let her tell me about the flowers and perfume, playing the concerned friend perfectly. When she finished, I frowned thoughtfully. That is odd. Vanessa has been spending a lot of time at the gym lately. Maybe I should talk to Bryce, see if everything's okay with the business. "Would you?" I'm probably being paranoid, but... Not at all. Friends look out for each other. That afternoon, I called Bryce and suggested we grab a beer. He agreed, probably thinking it was just another normal evening with his oblivious best friend. We met at Murphy's Tavern, the same place where Ray and I had planned his downfall. Bryce seemed nervous, checking his phone constantly and avoiding eye contact. "Everything okay?" I asked after his third glance at his phone in 5 minutes. "Yeah, just Monica's been acting weird lately, asking a lot of questions." "Questions about what?" "About work, about where I've been, about, I don't know, everything." He took a long drink of his beer. "Women, you know?" "I know exactly what you mean," I said. "Vanessa's been the same way. Suspicious, questioning everything. It's like they're looking for problems that don't exist." Bryce relaxed slightly. "Exactly. Monica found some flowers someone sent her and convinced herself I was having an affair. Can you believe that?" "That's crazy," I said, fighting to keep my expression neutral. "Why would she think that?" "Who knows? Maybe she's going through menopause or something. Women get paranoid." I nodded sympathetically while mentally adding another charge to his growing list of sins. Not only was he cheating on his wife, he was dismissing her legitimate concerns as hormonal instability. "Have you tried talking to her? Reassuring her?" "I've tried, but she won't listen. She's got it in her head that I'm cheating, and nothing I say makes a difference." "That's tough, man. Marriage is hard work." "Tell me about it." He finished his beer and signaled for another. "Sometimes I wonder if it's worth it, you know? All the suspicion, all the drama. Maybe it would be easier to just start over." There it was, the opening I'd been waiting for. Start over how? I don't know. Divorce, maybe? Find someone who actually trusts me. That's a big step, Bryce. You sure you're not just frustrated? Maybe. Or maybe I'm finally seeing things clearly. He looked at me with something that might have been guilt. "Can I tell you something, Ethan? Promise you won't judge me?" This was it. He was going to confess. Part of me wanted to hear it, to have the satisfaction of his admission. But the smarter part knew that would end the game too soon. "Of course, but are you sure you want to tell me? Some things can't be unsaid." He studied my face for a long moment, then shook his head. "No, you're right. Some things are better kept private." "Probably wise," I agreed. "But if you ever need to talk, I'm here. That's what friends are for." The word friends hit him like a physical blow. He flinched and looked away. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Friends." We finished our beers in relative silence, both of us lost in our own thoughts. When we parted ways in the parking lot, I knew phase one of my plan was working perfectly. Monica Hamilton was suspicious. Bryce was feeling guilty, and I was just getting started. The explosion came sooner than I expected. Monica Hamilton appeared on my doorstep the following Saturday morning, tears streaming down her face and fire in her eyes. Through the window, I could see Bryce's truck parked across the street, him sitting behind the wheel with his head in his hands. "Ethan," Monica said when I opened the door, "I need to talk to you. About Bryce. About Vanessa." My heart rate spiked, but I kept my voice calm. "Of course. Come in." Vanessa was upstairs getting ready for her shopping trip with the girls. Another lie I'd stopped challenging. Alex was at soccer practice. The house was ours. Monica sat on my couch, clutching a tissue box, and told me everything. She'd hired a private investigator. The flowers and perfume had been just the beginning. The PI had followed Bryce for a week and documented everything. The meetings with Vanessa at various hotels, the lunches at out-of-the-way restaurants, the afternoon visits to my house when I was at work. "I'm so sorry, Ethan," she sobbed. "I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but I couldn't let this continue. You deserve to know." I played my part perfectly. Shock, denial, anger, hurt. All the emotions I'd actually felt 2 weeks ago when I first learned the truth. The only difference was that now my anger was cold and calculating, instead of hot and desperate. "How long?" I asked. "At least 6 months, maybe longer. The investigator thinks it started last summer." Last summer, when Vanessa had suddenly decided to get in shape, when she'd joined Iron Core Gym, when she'd started working late and having girls' nights. "I confronted Bryce this morning," Monica continued. "He denied everything at first, then he got angry, then he said things. Horrible things." "What kind of things?" He said I was a boring housewife who didn't understand him. He said Vanessa was exciting, sophisticated, that she made him feel alive. Fresh tears started flowing. He said he was filing for divorce and moving in with her. That was news to me, and based on what I'd overheard in my bedroom, it would be news to Vanessa too. Monica, I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say. There's more. She reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. The investigator gave me these. I thought you should have copies. The envelope contained photographs that made my stomach turn. Bryce and Vanessa entering hotel rooms, kissing in restaurant parking lots, holding hands while walking through parks I'd never been to. But the worst photo was taken through my own bedroom window. Bryce and Vanessa in my bed, in my house, surrounded by pictures of my family. I want them to pay, Monica said quietly. Both of them. I want them to hurt the way we're hurting. What do you have in mind? She looked at me with an expression I'd never seen on her gentle face. Pure, calculated rage. I want to destroy them publicly. I want everyone to know what they did. I want them humiliated. Monica, I understand you're angry, but no. Her voice was steel. I've been the good wife, the understanding wife, the wife who looks the other way when her husband works late or goes out with friends. I've been a doormat for 15 years and I'm done. She stood up and walked to my window, looking out at Bryce's truck. He's waiting for me to come out so we can talk things through. He thinks he can charm his way out of this like he always does. But not this time. I joined her at the window. Bryce saw us and got out of his truck, walking toward the house with the confident stride of a man who'd never faced real consequences for his actions. What are you going to do? I asked. Monica smiled, and it was terrifying. I'm going to give him exactly what he wants. Bryce knocked on the door, and Monica went to answer it. I stayed in the living room, but close enough to hear everything. Monica, honey, we need to talk, Bryce said as she opened the door. You're right, we do. Her voice was calm, almost pleasant. Come in. Bryce entered warily, probably confused by her sudden change in demeanor. He nodded at me awkwardly. Ethan, I guess Monica told you about our situation. She did. Look, I know this is awkward, but these things happen. We're all adults here. The casual dismissal of 18 years of marriage and friendship hit me like a slap, but I kept my expression neutral. These things happen? Monica repeated. Is that what you call destroying 2 marriages? These things happen? Monica, don't be dramatic. You and I haven't been happy for years. Neither have Ethan and Vanessa. We're just being honest about it. Honest? I couldn't help myself. You've been sneaking around behind our backs for months. That's the opposite of honest. Bryce's facade finally cracked. Fine. You want honesty? Here's honesty. Your marriage was over long before Vanessa and I got together. She was lonely, neglected, bored out of her mind with your suburban routine. I gave her something you couldn't. And what's that? Excitement, passion, a reason to feel alive again. The words were designed to hurt, and they did. But they also revealed something important. Bryce actually believed his own justifications. In his mind, he was the hero of this story, rescuing my wife from her boring life with me. So, you're doing us a favor? Monica asked. In a way, yes. Now you can both find someone who actually appreciates you. That's when Monica played her ace. You're absolutely right, Bryce. I should be with someone who appreciates me. Someone like Dr. James Chen. The color drained from Bryce's face. What? You remember James, don't you? Monica Chen's husband? The woman you've been seeing on the side while you were seeing Vanessa on the side? Bryce looked like he'd been punched in the stomach. How did you... The same investigator who followed you and Vanessa also followed you and Monica. Apparently you're quite the busy man. I stared at Monica Hamilton with new respect. She'd played this perfectly, letting Bryce think he was in control before revealing she knew everything. Monica, I can explain. No need. I've already explained everything to James, and to Monica Chen, and to Vanessa. Now it was my turn to look shocked. You told Vanessa? About an hour ago. She should be home any minute. As if summoned by her words, I heard Vanessa's car in the driveway. The front door slammed open and my wife stormed in like a hurricane. What the hell is going on? She demanded, looking at the 3 of us. Monica called me with some insane story about Bryce and another woman. She stopped mid-sentence when she saw the photographs scattered on my coffee table. Oh, she said quietly. Oh, shit. Hello, Vanessa, Monica said pleasantly. I was just telling Bryce and Ethan about your boyfriend's other girlfriend. The room fell silent except for the sound of Vanessa's rapid breathing. She looked from the photos to Bryce to me, calculating frantically. Ethan, I can explain. Can you? Because I'd love to hear this explanation. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. For the first time in our marriage, Vanessa was speechless. Bryce, meanwhile, was trying to salvage the situation. Look, everyone's emotional right now. Maybe we should all take a step back and— Shut up, Vanessa snapped. Just shut up. This is your fault. My fault? You're the one who— I'm the one who what? Fell for your lies? Believed you when you said you loved me? I do love you. You love me so much you're screwing a nurse on the side? The facade was crumbling beautifully. All the sophistication, all the careful planning, all the sneaking around. It was falling apart in my living room, and I was enjoying every second of it. How long? Vanessa asked me suddenly. How long what? How long have you known? I could have lied. I could have pretended I'd just found out, but I was done with lies. About 6 weeks. Her face went white. 6 weeks? You've known for 6 weeks and said nothing? I was gathering evidence, making sure I had the full picture before I acted. Evidence for what? I smiled for the first time since this whole mess began. For the divorce, Vanessa, and for what comes next.